we take our third and final main topic today from our good friend Nelly T. And Nelly T writes, "Greetings, John. Oh, the heels of the huge HBO Max news are hot on the heels of the HBO Max news. AMC Theaters have put out a statement saying that they are against what Warner Brothers is doing with their movies, releasing on HBO Max. Normally, I would understand why, but didn't AMC sort of get this ball rolling by making that shortened theatrical window deal with Universal?" Oh, I'm glad you said that, Nelly. "In the first place, isn't this kind of like starting a fire and then complaining that the city is on fire?" Oh, you're not wrong, my friend. You're not wrong. So this news of HBO going to be the place where Warner Brothers is going to debut all their movies, eliminating the theatrical window, going on there first, as we described a little bit earlier. Well, apparently, Rob, AMC didn't like this. Adam Aron, the CEO of Disney, did not like this. Of course you wouldn't like it. I mean, if you're a movie theater, this is death news. But this is what they said. AMC CEO Adam Aron wrote, "Clearly, Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO Max startup. As for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense." Big words. We'll talk about this in a second. Big words. "We will aggressively pressure economic terms that preserve our business." Too late, Aaron. "We have already commenced an immediate and urgent dialogue with the leadership of Warner Brothers on this project." All right. That, once again, is from the CEO of AMC Theaters, Adam Aron, who was, by the way, not CEO when I was at AMC. They had a brilliant CEO when I was there. Adam, not so much. At any rate, on the one hand, obviously, this is difficult news. This is difficult news if you're AMC Theaters, if you're Regal, if you're Cinemark. This whole Warner Brothers move to HBO Max, this is difficult to listen to and difficult to swallow. There is no doubt about that. These are hard times for the movie theaters, and they are right to be alarmed. They are right to be worried. And to some degree, they're also right to be a little bit upset. This is nailing shut their coffins. It's bad news. However, this coming from AMC, as opposed to Regal or Cinemark or Landmark or one of the other theater chains, is a little bit comical to me. Because as I think it was Nelly who wrote in the email and in the message, AMC just a little while ago, Rob, compromised the theatrical window, the one principle in place that has been saving the movie theater industry for a long time. The theatrical window is the one principle and premise that has been saving the theatrical experience for years. AMC was the movie theater chain that came out and compromised the theatrical window principle when they made that deal with Universal for a 17 to 30 something day theatrical window thing. It was AMC itself and their CEO, Adam Aron, who has taken an incredibly successful company and has just blown it the hell up since he took it over, in my opinion. It was them that started this snowball rolling down the hill that's turning into an avalanche. Because here's why, Rob. Follow me here. I said for a while, the one hope that movie theaters and the movie theater industry has to survive, the one hope they have is to, in unity, hold the line on theatrical window. If you hold the line, come hell or high water, whatever context and whatever circumstances this world and universe throws at you, or whatever the studios try to do, if you as movie theaters collectively and in unison hold the line on the theatrical window stuff, you got a chance. I'm not saying they would have prevailed, no, but you've got a chance if you do. So they have this theatrical window, and the forces of nature and the studios and the context of our world The waves came in and hit against that wall, but the wall held. But guess what AMC did? AMC opened the door. They put cracks in the wall when they made that deal with Universal. And once that crack in the wall was done, the wall became compromised. Water started coming in. In essence, AMC screwed the other movie theaters when they made that deal with Universal and compromised the theatrical window. And now, Adam Aaron is going to sit back and cry, boo-hoo, Rob! Boo fucking who! Oh, poor us! This HBO Warner Brothers thing's gonna hurt us. Well, who the fuck do you think opened the door? Who do you think compromised the theatrical? Who do you think got this ball rolling? And I love what Nelly wrote in the message. It's like Adam Aaron went into town square and lit a big tree on fire and said, oh, look, I lit a tree on fire. And then 3 hours later is complaining, why is this city on fire? This is unacceptable. You're as every bit of a part of this as everything else. Now, again, I'm not sitting here suggesting, Rob, that had all the theaters stood in unity and kept the theatrical window, stood strong, created a united front, really pushed back on the studios and everything. I'm not saying that would have worked, but it gave them a chance. And I personally find it kind of laughable that AMC is now complaining about Warner Brothers and HBO Max just going down this path that AMC laid out in the first place. That's all Warner Brothers and HBO Max is doing here, Rob. They're just like, oh, AMC kind of created this path by making that deal with Universal. We're just going to take it to its next step. We're just going to take it a little bit further. For AMC to be the one to come out and cry about, I would have a lot more sympathy if it was Regal right now kind of lamenting this. If it was Regal coming out and saying, guys, this is horrible. This is terrible for us, blah, blah, blah. I would empathize with them. I find it laughable that AMC, and listen, I still got a lot of love for AMC in my heart. I had some really fun, great growth, wonderful years that I spent working with AMC. Great place in my heart. But for them to be the ones to cry about this when they have been a perpetrator of this, what is it they used to call people in wartime who kind of helped the occupiers? What was that?
A collaborator.
Collaborators. Yeah. AMC became a collaborator in the own demise of their own industry. So I find their objections to this just a wee bit laughable. Anyway, Rob, you're hearing AMC talk about this. What do you think about their position right now?
I think you pretty much nailed it. I mean, there was no solidarity, I think, in the motion picture distribution arm of all of these things. Everybody was kind of, you can bitch and moan and complain. I think there's a reason why Warner Brothers announced this and kind of blindsided everybody. Like, they didn't exactly go to the theaters and say, here's what we're going to do. And there's a reason for that. We've seen that there is definitely an adversarial relationship between the exhibitors and what the studios want. There is no incentive for the studios anymore to they're distributing their own product without a middleman anymore. And the theaters were middlemen that required their entire business model is built on somebody else giving them a product. And now the studios have had what they've always wanted. They couldn't own theater chains because of the Paramount decrees, which have been rescinded, but they couldn't own theaters. So now the studios have what they've always wanted, the primary method of distribution of their product directly to the consumer. They don't have to share revenue with anybody anymore. They just make their movies, they make their TV shows, and they take them. They take the money. Why work with the movie theater chain that gets mad at us?
Yeah,
why do
AMC
it?
Created the environment that made it even easier for them to do it.
Yeah,
and listen, this is all coming, Robin. I know you share a lot of this feeling too. This is me, a guy who I treasure the movie-going experience, the theatrical experience, which is the true heart of any true film fan. That is the way to watch movies. That's coming from me, a guy who I revere the movie-going experience. And I'm telling you this, that this is, it was inevitable at this point. They had one shot to maybe stem the tide for a while. They screwed it up. They compromised everybody else. Essentially, AMC stabbed all the other movie theaters in the back when they made that deal with Universal, in my opinion. And now Warner Brothers and HBO have just taken the next logical step. And you're right. It has kind of opened the door for them to go, oh, So yeah, it's time for us to accelerate these plans. Let's do that transition where we just cut out the middleman. It sucks that we're going to lose the best movie watching experience there is, which is a theater experience with friends, family, strangers in a big room. We're going to lose it. But it is what it is at this point. So I just don't know. Is there? I don't think there's any hope for theaters at this point. Do you, Rob? Do you see any kind of light at the end of the tunnel now with this?
Look, I mean, on one hand, as a lifelong film fan, there has never been it's my favorite experience in the world. But even me, John, when I was a kid, all of the theaters that I went to were gigantic, huge, big box, one screen theaters. And over my lifetime, I watched multiplexes be built. I watched, even living in LA, the Avco Theater that's on Wilshire Boulevard in Westwood was one of my favorite theaters. They cut it in half. So they could put a second screen in there. Showed more movies, make more money. Because, you know, how long can movies play, especially in the home video era? So I have watched the theater experience from the time I was a small child to now diminish. Projection was always a problem. You know, presentation was slipped. Now AMC was kind of bringing that back. They invested billions of dollars to do so, but this sea change was an inevitability. It was what they worried about when home video first took over in the early 80s. They thought, this is going to represent the end of the theatrical experience. They were saying that 40 years ago. Well, it just took 40 years. Now we've got the tools, we have the technology. When you can watch media at 4K and Dolby Vision, get your own great surround sound system, Atmos, you can build a movie theater in your house for not a lot of money. It's over, man. As much as I don't want it to be, as much as I want movie theaters to be gigantic, great experiences, it is over. When was the last time you bought a magazine, John? When was the last time you bought a CD? We've watched people, and everyone always throws to me, well, there's still vinyl. Yeah, because vinyl's cheap to make. You know, I've been buying.
And what
vinyl.
kind of market share does vinyl have now? I mean, it's still there. It exists, but really, what kind of market share does it have?
Well, it exceeded CD sales last year, I think, for the first time. But that's because who's buying CDs anymore? I mean, the fact is, all of the media we consume is in a digital format that can now be transmitted over phone lines or over the airwaves or whatever. Now we've got satellites. Elon Musk is building. You can get internet anywhere around the world with one of his dishes because it's in orbit. And the fact is, there's a massive sea change happening with our technology all around us, whether you choose to buy into it or not. It's changing. And even my beloved physical media, you know, I'll be buying it for another couple of years, but even that I know is going by the wayside, John. It's just an inevitability. That's what evolution is. That's what technology does. When was the last time you were in a horse-drawn carriage, John?
It's been a while. It's been a while. All right, guys. The question is, what do you think about AMC's response to all this? I think it is asinine. I think it is a ridiculous response coming from the wrong person. Again, it's the person who poured the bucket onto the floor and then complained that the floor is wet. That's kind of my take on that question. Is what do you guys think about it? Jump down into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys.